Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're an educator or an IB coordinator gearing up to evaluate your school's environment for the upcoming self-study, you are exactly where you need to be. Today, we're diving straight into the Program Standards and Practices framework, specifically looking at the environment piece. We're going to give you a super practical, no-nonsense breakdown so you know exactly what the IB is actually looking for.
Here's our roadmap for today. First, the IB Standards Framework. Second, defining your school environment. Third, leadership and essential resources. Fourth, supporting students and teachers. Fifth, tackling the self-study. And finally, rating your school's progress. Let's jump in.
Section 1. The IB Standards Framework, the map to the realm. Okay, looking at the official IB framework, check out how purpose, culture, and our focus for today, environment, all interlock. And what's sitting right there, dead center? It's learning. The framework fundamentally assumes that literally everything you design and build in your school's environment is there to support and level up the student learning experience. You really can't develop the environment without tying it directly back to your school's purpose and culture. They're totally interdependent. Moving on to Section 2. Defining your school environment. Exploring the realm. So what does environment actually mean to the IB? Well, their official definition goes way beyond physical spaces. It wraps in the human, natural, built, and virtual resources where learning happens. So we're not just talking about brick-and-mortar buildings or desks in a classroom here. It's the people in your community, those digital and virtual spaces you've cultivated, and even the natural world right outside your doors. All of it makes up your unique educational ecosystem. Because of this, when you're evaluating your environment for the self-study, you really have to cast a wide net. You're looking at the whole shebang. Everything from how you build your master schedule and allocate time, to your financial resources, all the way to the unique language and cultural assets that your specific local community brings to the table. The IB knows that a huge range of local contexts can support a thriving program, just as long as you're intentionally using those resources.
Section 3. Leadership and essential resources. The first pillar.
Now, Standard 0201 plainly states the leadership and governance of IB World schools create and sustain high-quality learning environments. This is a great reminder that a highly effective learning environment doesn't just magically happen, right? It takes intentional, sustained leadership. Your environment is the direct result of careful policy development and resource management driven by your pedagogical leadership team. Let's drill down into a highly specific requirement under this leadership standard. To actually make this work, leadership absolutely has to empower the IB coordinator. The school needs to provide a clear job description, designated release time, so you actually have the hours to do the work, necessary support structures, a clear organizational position to help lead curriculum development, and ongoing, up-to-date professional development. Basically, it's about proving that coordinators have the real, tangible, administrative support they need to be effective. All right, Section 4, supporting students and teachers, the second and third pillars. When it comes to supporting students, your environment has to hit a few practical steps. First, you've got to provide adequate facilities based on the program docs. Second, you need clear systems in place to actually identify what your students need. And step 3, this one's fantastic. You have to maintain an active library. But notice the IB's definition here. It's not just some quiet room full of dusty books. It's a dynamic, functioning hub combining people, places, collections, and services that extend learning. That's how you drive student success. And we certainly can't forget the teachers. Your environment has to empower them just as much. Standard 0203 requires you to guarantee access to current, relevant IB materials. You also have to carve out dedicated time and resources for real, effective collaboration. And finally, you have to prove that teachers are actually using this up-to-date documentation in their day-to-day teaching. It's all about ensuring they have exactly what they need to weave the IB philosophy right into their daily instruction. Section 5. Tackling the self-study. The hero's quest. So the self-assessment itself is meant to be a deep, thorough reflection. But the absolute key requirement, it has to be completed by all community members. This is not a solo mission for the coordinator to just quietly finish alone in a dark office. It literally requires your entire community to come together, reflect deeply, and figure out exactly where the school is crushing it and where it might need a little extra attention. As you work your way through the questionnaire for every single standard, whether that's leadership, student support, or teacher support, you are required to explicitly balance your reflection. On one hand, you need to identify major achievements from the review period, those spots where your school has shown real growth or excels at providing resources. But you also have to be completely honest about the major challenges, the areas needing some TLC.
It's a balancing act between celebrating your wins and offering constructive critique.
Which brings us to Section 6, rating your school's progress, measuring the magic. When you're evaluating your evidence, you'll need to choose one of 4 distinct categories. Starting from the baseline, if a requirement is flat out missing, you mark requires development. If you're meeting the requirement but see some room to grow, you go with offers opportunity for further development. For a strong, solid implementation, you mark shows notable development. And for those areas where you're doing something truly exceptional, you get to check shows development beyond requirements.
Now here is a massive, strictly enforced rule from the evaluation guide that you really need to remember. If you realize during your self-study that a specific requirement is just not in place, meaning you have to check requires development, you must acknowledge it and immediately add an action item to your official school action plan. You can't just leave it unchecked and move on. You've got to explicitly show how you plan to fix it to maintain your authorization to teach the programs.
As we wrap up this explainer and you get ready to dive into your self-study, I want to leave you with a provocative question to help guide your community's reflection. Take a second to look past the rubrics and checkboxes and ask, what unique, human, natural, built, or virtual resources make your school's environment a truly magical place for learning? Keep that front and center, and I promise the self-study becomes way more than just paperwork. It turns into a genuine celebration of the amazing ecosystem you've built. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and best of luck with your evaluation.